You're listening to the Very Refreshing Podcast with Dylan Hamar and Alek Jetzel. It's delicious. It's very refreshing.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Very Refreshing Podcast.
My name is Alek Jetzel. I'm here with my good buddy
Dylan Hamar. And we just got off the topic of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We talked about some of the pros and cons of it, some of our our favorite films, how special it was, how we feel it's been suffering a little bit at the hands of time. And
ain't nobody beating Father Time.
Nobody. But now we wanted to talk about this episode's called The Anatomy of Fandoms. And how I want to start this off is I want to pick your brain.
Okay.
And I want to know, what are some of the things that you're into that have a huge following?
The things that I have a huge Can I just tell a funny story to kick it off before I even answer that question? When I first heard the term fandom, I thought people were saying phantom. I didn't understand what fandom was, and I heard phantom. And every time I heard phantom, I thought of the Phantom Menace, episode 1 of Star Wars. And so anytime I heard anybody going, I'm part of, the Harry Potter phantom, I would always put Harry Potter and episode 1 together. That's just how my brain worked. So dumb.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thanks for sharing that.
My favorite part was the phantom part.
Cool story, Hansel. Fandoms that I'm a part of. Well, I mean, we've talked a lot about in our 90s episode, our Seinfeld episode. It's interesting to ask what fandoms are you a part of, because I feel like I'm really aloof from a lot of things. I feel like in order to be considered part of I can be a fan, but to be a part of the fandom, you have to be so integrated into it, right? You have to have, merchandise and costumes and all this different stuff. And I'm not 100% sure I can say that I'm a part of any fandom. I don't know. It's hard to say. Obviously there are different, TV series and movie series that I enjoy. I'm a sports fan, right? My family is originally from Dallas, so I'm a Mavericks fan and a Cowboys fan. The Dallas Stars are in the Western Conference Finals for the NHL right now. I've been watching some of those games. And, we talk about costumes. I probably have a T-shirt for each of those teams at least, right? So maybe I'm more integrated into some fandoms than I think I am. But
we talked about, collecting in itself. You talked about sneakers.
Sneaker fandom. Yeah, I would consider myself part of that, right? We've talked about music a lot. But same thing. I know I'm a fan of certain music, but it's hard for me to say that I'm part of the fandom, especially having gone in last year. Me and Carrie went to a My Chemical Romance show in Portland. And even though me and Carrie showed up in our black jeans and our black t-shirts, I looked around and I was like, we there are some people that are truly My Chemical Romance fandom people, right? There was the goths came out. You know what I mean? It was interesting to see people take, going to a concert to that level, right? They really wanted to be part of it and they dressed that way. And those are the people I would consider part of the fandom. I'm a fan, but I wonder if I'm part of the fandom.
It comes down to what I said in a previous episode, where making something your identity, to me, can be a little problematic.
Uh-huh.
I think if you get dressed up and you go out and do something, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if your whole personality and your whole makeup as a human being is dictated by the things you're into, I don't know. I've never been a fan of that.
Yeah. Has there been anything like that you've gotten close to becoming that heavily inundated with?
I've been very integrated in many fandoms. I've been on lots of forums. I collect lots of things. I go to comic conventions. I do the whole thing. Mainly for me, I would say my first fandom was probably Star Wars.
Okay.
And I we're both really big Star Wars fans. I have lots of Star Wars toys, in my collection. I've seen every Star Wars film so many times. When Force Awakens came out, I think I saw it like 7 or 8 times in theaters. When the Last Jedi came out, I saw it like 6 or 7 times. Rise of Skywalker, I probably saw 3 or 4 times. Rogue One, I saw a few times. I saw Solo a few times. I just love Star Wars, and that definitely became my identity for a long time.
Okay.
People would send me Star Wars stuff, and people would be like, oh, Dylan's the guy who loves Star Wars. He's always wearing Star Wars graphic t-shirts or whatever.
That was in an era too where before, and maybe I'm misrepresenting my experience with it, but I feel like there was 2 eras of time when Star Wars was nerdy and when Star Wars was cool, right? So being like a Star Wars fan almost outcasted you because of how nerdy you were. But then there was a certain time period. I feel like it was, sometime around when the prequel trilogy was coming out, where everyone said, oh no, Star Wars is cool. Being a Star Wars fan is cool now. So you were definitely in that era where being a Star Wars fan might have outcasted you a little bit.
When I was young, for sure. I don't know. I know we pick the brains of Star Wars a lot. We like pick it apart. I was 8 when Phantom Menace came out, and I had a blast. I loved it. That movie has so many redeeming qualities that some of the shortcomings that it has don't really bother me as much.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul. I don't care how corny young Anakin is. I don't think Jar Jar Binks is as annoying as everyone says. Yep. It gave us one of the most compelling villains in Star Wars history, period. And it gave us one of the best Jedi Masters in Star Wars history, period. In fact, people still love Qui-Gon. If I picked apart any movie, it was Attack of the Clones. That was the one I wasn't as big into.
Yeah.
I think Episode 3 was also a banger. That one was great.
Totally.
But I'm not to review Star Wars. I definitely loved Star Wars. I loved music. I wanted everyone to know it. I wore the t-shirts. I collected the toys, all that stuff. And then again, I hit a point in my life where I thought, this isn't me. This is just something that I love.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to associate me as Dylan the Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
I want people to think Dylan is a guy who just also likes Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that was something that I worked really hard on, like, changing. I don't know. I started speaking about my other interests more. I became less obsessive. That was something that I really needed to work on, was my obsessiveness. I ended up leaving a lot of the forums I was on just because of how toxic they were, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Okay.
But it's more than just Star Wars. I'm in the horror fandom. I'm actually on a ton of horror forums to this day. Whether it be on Reddit or Facebook or whatever, I'm in tons of groups. I love, pretty much anything else that, we've talked about. I love Power Rangers. I love.
So now that you've explained your Star Wars experience to me, I think I had a similar experience with a different fandom when I was young.
Oh, okay.
And so I think hearing your experience, I'm now reliving
the
my
definition.
experience.
Yeah, it's there.
I'm reliving a similar experience. When I was in maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, right? For a while, it seemed like there were 2 types of kids, right? The ones that read Harry Potter and the ones that didn't, right? And I was one of the kids that did read Harry Potter, right? Like, the movies were just starting to come out. It was all Harry Potter, right? I was reading the books. Do you remember in elementary school when you would get like little daily writing prompts? Where the teacher would be like, I want you to write about a time when this and this and this, or I want you to write about what you would do if you had $1 million, or I want you to write about every single one of those prompts. I would write about Harry Potter, right? Be like, if I had $1 million, I would create Harry Potter, right? Or like if I had one wish, it would be to go to Hogwarts, right? So that was the one that I was super deep into. Was Harry Potter, and similar to you. I don't know if I ever got to the point where everyone's like, Alek is the Harry Potter guy. And maybe it's because I found a couple of other kids like me that were into Harry Potter and we shared that, But yeah, at a certain point, I maybe my interest just expanded in a way, or my brain got bigger so I could handle more than one interest at a time. But at a certain point, like my interest in, I still really love Harry Potter. It's still a bunch of fun, but it's definitely not like at the forefront of everything the way that it was when I was a kid, right? To the point where I didn't read the last couple of books. No, I didn't read the last book until well after I had seen the movie, which second grade Alec would have been distraught over thinking about that.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, if 17, 18, 19-year-old Alec told 8-year-old Alec, listen, you're going to see Harry Potter 7 before you read the 7 book. He'd have been like, what's wrong with you? He'd have been so disappointed. But yeah.
I'm going to grow up to be you?
Yeah. What? If I had $1 million, I would change my future so I didn't be like you.
If I had $1 million, I would whisk you out of existence. Yeah, so like that's a good point, right? Like Harry Potter has a huge fandom. I really like Harry Potter, but I'm not like, I don't know. I went on Pottermore and I got, my house pulled. I was a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
But
I got Hogwarts Legacy in the first couple weeks it came out.
I don't even own it yet.
I played it for a little bit. It didn't capture my attention as much as it did, right? So here's where I draw the line, right? I love Harry Potter, but when I go to Universal and go see Harry Potter World, I will not wear robes. You know what I mean? Like that's like the line, right? Because I've gone to Harry Potter World in the past couple years, and even though like seeing the castle and seeing all the sets that they've built and everything was spectacular, it made me go, whoa, that's really cool. I still looked around. I was like, dude, there's some people wearing robes in this 90-degrry heat. What is wrong with these people?
They're fully immersed.
It's why, yeah.
And, yeah, no.
And I don't want to talk down on those people. I know it's all part of your experience. Good for you. I'm stoked for you that you love it so much. I just can't be that guy.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. So, like, I wouldn't say I was part of Harry Potter fandom, but I do like Harry Potter just fine. I think the movies are brilliant. I don't think I read past The Goblet of Fire, so I'm not like diehard. There's tons of other fandoms.
That's also where the books got super big, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I remember as a kid, you were like, Harry Potter 1 and the Sorcerer's Stone is 350 pages or whatever. And you're like, that's a big book.
Goblet of Fire was massive.
I think Order of the Phoenix #5 was the biggest one. And I remember slogging through that one. That was like right when my interest was waning. And I was like, this is a big old book. It was tough.
Yeah, like Harry Potter was obviously a phenomenon. When I was a kid, I really liked reading this series of Unfortunate Events books.
I love those books.
Yeah, they were super fun. They were easy reads. They weren't very long. God, they just went on forever.
They were also sarcastic and almost satirical at some point.
And they were very like depressing.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone says, the Jim Carrey movie's awesome, okay?
I saw that in theaters and I loved it.
It's awesome. But there's tons of other fandoms. Obviously, there's like Lord of the Rings. Now there's like Game of Thrones fandom. There's MCU fandom. There's so many. What I want to get into in this episode is maybe some of our positive experiences with fans of the things we love, what we feel the downsides of a fandom could be. I also really want to talk about nostalgia, because nostalgia is a very interesting topic on its own, where I don't know, it brings us a lot of really good feelings, but it's also kind of dangerous if you take it to the extent some people do. Where you refuse to move on in your life because you're like Uncle Rico. You're just stuck in the past.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet throw football over them mountains?
Yeah, back in '85.
If Coach would have put me in, we would have went all state, not a doubt in my mind. But those people are pretty rare. I do go to conventions. I mainly go to conventions because I like buying art. I like, I have so much art that I've bought, like I can't even hang it up because I don't have room for it. My roommate and I like going to, like FanX in Salt Lake, for example. We got to meet like Skeet Ulrich and Jamie Kennedy. We wanted our Scream poster signed. I got to meet Anthony Michael Hall, and I got like a Halloween photos signed by him. They're just like, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know,
What was
Cobra Kai was huge there,
Yeah.
and you know that's a fandom.
Of the years that you've gone to Fan X, who or what had the biggest line, do you think?
I would absolutely say it has to be Stranger Things was probably,
Oh, of course.
Stranger Things was huge, but like William Zabka from Cobra Kai also just humongous. And you wouldn't know it. You people do not realize how freaking famous or how big Cobra Kai actually is.
Until you see a convention.
When you go to a convention, there are people in gis. They're in like Cobra Kai gis, and they're just spending tons of money to meet William Zabka, get a photo with him. I got a photo with him.
Yeah.
But because I love Cobra Kai, I love the Karate Kid. I think Cobra Kai is an awesome show. But Stranger Things for sure is huge.
bet.
So like, yeah, those are some examples of fandoms. Fandoms, in essence, it's like a community of fans that share something,
Yeah.
you know, and to the extent where like it is a big part of their lives. And I think us having things in our lives that bring us joy, things that we look forward to, is such a beautiful thing. And it makes life so special where you have things to look forward to. You know, maybe if you're feeling down, you can partake in a certain thing that you love and it makes you feel better. You know, talking to someone that loves the same things as you, building that bridge between you and lighting up and having a great friend afterwards. There's so many benefits
Yeah.
to fandom, or to being a part of a fandom rather. But, you know, just like putting you on the spot because you're a little bit of a different case. You're very much like, you know, I don't even think you belong to a single forum if I'm.
Yeah, no. I've visited when I've had like questions or something I wanted, but I've never been a participant on forums.
So what do you think some of the downsides of fandoms could be? Like the psychology of it, being an outsider looking in.
Well, let's talk about the cool things first, if that's okay. Because there's a couple things I have off the top. I know, yeah, like I don't mind being put on the spot, but the things that are popping in my head first are good things.
Go for it.
If it's okay if we start there. So, I think there was something that there was a single word that you said that I think is really interesting, and it's community, right? It's the fact that people of different backgrounds, because they have an interest in the same thing, can get together, especially in this internet age that we live in, across oceans, and enjoy the thing that they enjoy together, right? And for a lot of people, you know, that's a super necessary thing. You know, it's again, I'm as much a nerd as anybody else, but traditionally, I don't want to overgeneralize, but geeks and dweebs and nerds have a hard time socializing with people, right? So when you belong to a nerdom or a geekdom, a fandom of something that's a little bit more geeky, nerdy, you're able to connect with other people who like it and you make friends, right? It's cool that way. I mean, you mentioned Stranger Things, right? The central kicking off point of Stranger Things is a group of nerds who are into Dungeons and Dragons, right? And because they're all into Dungeons and Dragons, they have a tight-knit friend group that never drifts apart, right? That they are always counting on each other, that got started over Dungeons and Dragons. And so that's something that happens within fandoms that I think is really cool, is that people of different backgrounds can get together and nerd out and have fun over certain things. And that extends to stuff beyond nerdy things, right? I mean, sports is a fandom, right?
One of the most diehard
right?
fandoms.
So to think that, you know, take any city in America, right, that has a football or a baseball team, right? Like, I mean, I'm not from New York, but I'm just thinking New York, right? Like, there are New York Yankees fans or New York Mets fans or Jets fans or whichever New York team. Let's just say the Yankees. There are Yankees fans that are millionaires, and there are Yankees fans that are very poor. But when everyone gets in that stadium together, they're just Yankee fans. You know what I mean? Like, it's this diverse group of people can get together and all back the same thing at the same time. Like, that sense of community is really, really cool and really important for a lot of people. I think, you know, without getting too far ahead of myself, that sense of community that's so important to people can also be a tough thing when it's overused, right? When it becomes your whole identity. Like when your whole identity is a fan of the Yankees, I mean, when they lose, you're depressed, right? Or when you can't go to the game or whatever it may be, it can dictate your happiness, which is really interesting. So, but yeah, I've seen a lot of good communities. Right now, it's kind of interesting. Probably because I say, I don't know why my algorithm is showing me this. It's because I've searched it, right? I'm getting a lot of Power Rangers stuff on my algorithm right now. And I've it's kind of funny to me because
like Watch Mojo or something.
I don't know. No, there's a couple of pages that I follow on Instagram of dudes who make their own versions of Power Ranger suits, right? Like they'll take the original Mighty Morphin suits and then enhance them to make them more like modern, or they just do their own twist on them and they're cool. But now when I scroll through Facebook or Instagram, I'm getting all of these like Power Rangers videos. And the one that I see a lot is, really nerdy people morphing into Power Rangers, right? They go, Mighty Morphin Red, Tyrannosaurus, and then they pull out the morpher, and then they do that funny like flash.
Yeah, like the filter.
They do the flash filter, and then ka-choom, they have on the suit, and then ka-choom, they have on the helmet, and then they hit the poses, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them aren't like super athletic people. So sometimes there's a little bit of jiggly, and sometimes there's a little bit of incoordination as they hit these karate poses. And the only comments you see are, dude, that's awesome. Good for you. Oh, man. Bro, Mighty Morphin Red is my favorite.
Bro, Power Rangers has one of the most positive fandoms.
They're so wholesome to each other.
They're super nice. I've actually left a lot of like groups. I remember being in lots of Power Ranger groups and no matter how cringy something was, they were like, dude, you're so awesome, or dude, that's so cool, I love this, or my favorite thing about this is this. I think Power Rangers fans are some of the nicest, like most wholesome people on the planet.
You said cringy. The content put out by Power Ranger fans is
super cringy.
Is the most cringy, but the comments and the community is so wholesome.
Well, bro, Power Rangers is cringy.
Totally.
So it's very much in line with that.
Yeah.
Right. We love Power Rangers, but
totally.
But Power Rangers is cringe.
Yeah. But it's so wholesome, because like, I don't know, like, I wonder if I should get into this, right? So
you talking about your brothers?
I will, yeah.
Okay.
So I have two brothers on the autism spectrum, right? And one of them is a diehard superhero Power Ranger, everything to do with that kind of sci-fi fantasy. He's got every DVD, everything. He's the ultimate fan, right? Having grown up with a couple of brothers on the spectrum, it's inappropriate for me to say that I have a radar for other people on the spectrum, but there are certain like little tics and habits and little things that sometimes I see people do, and it makes me go, I wonder if they're on the spectrum too. I hope it's not inappropriate for me to say that, right? But
I think it is a spectrum, but there are some commonalities between them where you can certainly pick up on it. If someone has like a certain degree of social awkwardness, you can kind of pick up on that.
Yeah, so there are a lot of times where I see those Power Rangers videos, right? And I see this guy who's like the biggest White Ranger fan, and he'll go, Mighty Morphin White Tiger, and he'll morph, and then he'll hit these karate poses, and there are parts of his mannerisms and attitudes and the way he moves his body that make me go, I wonder if that guy's on the spectrum. I'm not going to pass judgment, but I wonder. And then I see all the comments that are like, dude, this is awesome. Good for you. Dude, you're so cool. White Ranger's my favorite too. Dude, Tommy Oliver forever. I see all that stuff and I'm like, dude, that's so nice. It's so good that like we're sticking up for each other, or that these guys are sticking up for each other. It's if my brother was the one posting it, I would want him to see all that good feedback too.
Well, Power Rangers has no business having elitist fans, Because Power Rangers is freaking silly, okay?
Yeah.
And I grew up with Power Rangers. I watched the original Mighty Morphin all the way through. Bro, I even outside of Power Rangers, I was a big bad Beetleborgs fan.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone tried to gatekeep a Power Rangers discussion, I would laugh so hard at that person. They'd be like,
yeah, but in the comics.
Yeah, but actually, in Shattered Grid, Lord Draken, and they're like going into this stuff. It's like, dude, shut up.
Dude, you're silly.
Shut up, dude.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
This is silly.
It's
You're right.
Something so silly and something so meaningless doesn't need to have gatekeepers like that.
Yeah.
So Power Ranger fans understand how silly and fun and just like you get lost in the fun of it.
Yeah. So and I feel like, and this might be getting ahead of ourselves, when it comes to fandoms, I feel like all fandoms are kind of silly. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I know that the Green Bay Packers are your favorite football team.
But why are you wearing cheese on your head?
But
no, I'm just kidding.
No. But it's also kind of silly, right? Especially, I'm getting to the age, and that's crazy. I never would have thought I would say that as a 29-year-old, but I'm getting to the age where the kids in the NBA, the best players in the NBA, are younger than I am, right? And it's like, yo, I'm gonna like prey upon a 23-year-old to play the best game of his life, or I'm not gonna be happy. You know what I mean? Or like, dude, if that 22-year-old running back doesn't score a touchdown in this game, I'm gonna be angry at my family for the rest of the week. It's so silly. It's like, dude, I'm their what's the word? Their senior. I'm their senior at this point, right? And there are men who are way older than I am who get way more worked up about things than I do. And it's like, dude, these are children at this point.
Yeah,
it's
I saw a video the other day. I don't know what game this guy was watching, but he just punched and broke his TV. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I think it's beautiful. I said in a previous episode when we were talking about Cheers, I went to Boston.
Yeah.
And I just love the whole Red Sox culture. I think it's beautiful. But there is like, I think the Red Sox are a unique case because those fans were so used to losing for so long. But like there are some teams where like if they lost, their fans would be super upset, like Patriots fans or something like that,
Yeah.
And it's so silly because A, it's entertainment, and B, like, what is entertainment? Entertainment is there to bring you joy.
Yeah.
It's like, I could understand, I guess, if like you put $10,000 down on a game and you lost it, maybe you're bummed about that. But like your team lost, but did you still have fun watching the game?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's literally called a game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I have a pretty cool experience. So when I was a junior in college, I did an internship in Germany, right? In Frankfurt, Germany. And when I was there, having lived in Argentina previously, I got really into soccer, right? I didn't play soccer. I didn't follow it, but when I got home, I got FIFA and I started playing FIFA. And so I started to learn more about world soccer. And so when I went to Germany, I was like, dude, 100%, I have to go to a Bundesliga game, right? I have to go to the German league soccer game. I don't care what team it is, but I want to go. I ended up meeting a guy who was a huge Borussia Dortmund fan, which is one of the big premier teams there. And I was like, hey, yo, dude, can you take me with you? Obviously I'll pay for my ticket, but I want to go with you. That never ended up materializing. But I said, I still have to go, right? Now, the team in Frankfurt is called Eintracht Frankfurt, And I said, okay, I'm going to go buy a ticket. I'm going to buy a ticket for myself. And I'm just going to go by myself to a Frankfurt game. Went to the team store, bought a jersey, took a train. I didn't even know exactly how to get to the stadium. I just figured at some point I'll meet a mob of people going to the stadium and I'll just follow them, right? And that's what I did. I follow them. I go to the stadium. I have seats right behind the goalie, which was so incredible. And not only did Frankfurt end up winning that game, they won 7-1, which for a soccer game is unreal.
Well,
right?
just 7 goals alone.
7 goals alone.
Because it's a very low scoring sport.
Totally. A 1-1 game is a thriller in some cases, right? A 7-1 blowout is insane, right? Like Luka Jovic, this young guy, scored 5 goals in one game. Unreal. It was like the soccer gods put this gift to me on a plate, right? I end up leaving the stadium, right? And I get super lost. I actually get super lost. I don't know exactly my way back because I didn't know my way there in the first place. And now it's the opposite. Not everyone's not funneling into the same place. They're dispersing into different. So I ended up following the wrong crowd, right? But no matter what train or what bus I got on, it was filled to the brim with Frankfurt fans who were banging on the doors and drunk, just screaming and yelling, stoked about this huge win, singing songs. And I said, you know what? I'm safe. I could be lost all night long. I've got the Frankfurt jersey on. I'm safe.
You're one of them.
I'm one of them, right? Because I'm celebrating with them this big win, right? I eventually found my way to the main station and was able to get back to my apartment that night. But that's the side of community that's so cool, right? Now on the flip side, right? I mentioned that I lived in Argentina and I didn't go to any of the soccer games, but I ended up getting a newspaper and reading that. So it's Boca and River are the two big teams. And I don't remember which one was which, but let's just say it was River was visiting Boca. And the Boca fans like threw tear gas onto the opposing team, right? Like some real sick fandom behavior, right? It was the same sense of community on the opposite side of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, it's like, what would those fans that were singing and cheering on the bus, how would they have acted if they had lost?
Yeah, if we had gotten blown out 7-1, right?
It might have been a riot.
Like, would I have been safe going home? Even though I was wearing the right shirt, the right jersey, like, would I have been in trouble? You know, because my German was minimal at best, right? I could.
Or what if you had been a fan of the other team?
Yeah.
And you were trying to get home? You know, you might have been in danger.
I might have been in danger, right? And it's so crazy that the same sense of community can drive people to be so wholesome and so united, but also so, you know, divisive and dangerous at some points, right? It's crazy.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the complete flip side of the coin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so my exposure to fandoms, like I said, is mainly conventions and forums, right? Because the thing is I just love what I love. And I'm to that age now where I don't really care as much what people think about what I love. You know, when I was younger, I kept some of my hobbies to myself just because people would judge me. I had like friends that were into metal when I was a kid, and I got into indie music, but I kept it to myself because they would have teased me. Or if I liked a certain pop song or something, I would have kept it to myself. It would have been on my iPod or my MP3 player or, you know, my portable CD player, but I would have just had my headphones on, obviously.
But
right?
when it came on, you would like flip over the iPod.
Yeah, like so they wouldn't see it,
so
right?
you can see your screen. Yeah.
But it's like at conventions and stuff, there's this like really cool sense of community. It's the exact same thing where like all these outcasts are coming together, and some of their interests would have them mocked in public, like, you know, they're dressing up and doing all these things. But also, it's like if you get into a conversation with someone and you say Final Fantasy VII is your favorite, they think that's too mainstream and they make fun of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what about 9? It's like 9's good. Or if you're like, I like Final Fantasy X, and these anime people are like, what about 8?
Yeah.
It's like,
they're like, obviously you haven't played very many Final Fantasy games if 7 is your favorite.
You know? But that's, there's like elitism in fandoms, right? Especially when it comes to nerdy fandoms. It's like, you grow up, it's so interesting because like I grew up I got bullied a lot as a kid, and I found solace in some of my hobbies, and other kids found solace in these hobbies. But as I got older, I realized that like some of the people that are gatekeeping these hobbies are some of the biggest dicks on the planet. For real.
Yeah.
It's like, did you not learn anything when kids were throwing mayonnaise sandwiches at you when you were a kid? Like, did you not learn that making others feel bad about their side of their side of the coin is not okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had a lot of bad experiences. Like, I am a humongous horror fan, and even more so, I'm a Resident Evil fan, like a huge Resident Evil fan. Like if people were to see my Resident Evil collection, they'd be blown away. Like I have like I said this in the video game episode, I have like a full US collection. I have an almost complete Japanese collection. I have some of the most rare collectibles, variations, so on and so forth. Resident Evil fans are jerks. They're some of the biggest jerks on the planet, dude. Like, I remember I went on Reddit. I'm rarely on Reddit. I can't stand Reddit, but I saw the new Resident Evil Netflix series.
Yeah.
And while it wasn't what I was hoping for, because I don't like the Paul W.S. Anderson movies. I think they're garbage. And they're just so off base with what I like. Look at me, I sound like an elitist, right? But they're just not for me. If someone said they liked him, I wouldn't call him stupid or make fun of him.
Or question their loyalty to the fandom.
No, it's like, you're still a fan.
Yeah.
I just don't like that movie or those movies.
Yeah.
But I saw the series and I really liked it. I was like, this is not
what I expected.
But I liked it. And I went on Reddit and I was like, am I the only one that likes the Resident Evil Netflix series? And everyone got on there and they're like, yeah, you are the only one. Like, are you even a real fan? Like, what are you talking about?
Bummer.
Did you get into the games just recently? It's like, no, bitch. I've been into the games. It's like, I've been into Resident Evil since 1996. Okay. Like, I'm a fan. Okay. I'm a fan since the very first game. I played the very first game, like around the time it came out. So that's the downside, right? The downside is these people that feel like they need to have a small community of something they love, because if too many people get into it, it's no longer special.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the case with everything. It's like, we feel like something is ours and then everyone else gets into it. It's no longer ours. It's everyone's, and that's a threat to some fandoms. So Resident Evil has some of the worst fans on the planet. Horror fans are pretty okay though. Like, I see some real toxic ones, but like for the most part they're pretty nice, because like I'll say probably like 70% of horror is awful. Like 70, like a solid 70%.
I sort of asked you this question last time. I want to reframe it though. What makes you think that? Do you think it's because it's mass produced, or do you think it because it's a hard genre and people don't realize how hard it is?
I think people assume it's an easy genre.
Yeah,
they take a stab at it.
Couple quick jump scares and you're good to go.
Yeah, and it's not that at all, right? People assume it's easy, they go for it. Also, it's the one of the cheapest genres to make. So it has a mass flux, and it's very profitable if you can do it okay.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that you can do for a cheap budget and turn around for a big profit if done correctly.
Yeah, you could make a $5 million horror movie, and if like it got into theaters and it got some buzz, you could walk away with 80 million.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So horror fans are pretty okay. They're not like, some of them are like, ew, or you're into that or whatever, but it's like, they're equally into garbage too. We all like garbage. Me and every other horror fan on the planet, we eat garbage. So like, we don't have the place to make fun of each other.
Yeah.
But the dark side of fandoms is like the people that are proudly standing out in front of the gate and not letting anyone else in because they're threatened by it. And I hate that, because in my opinion, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Like, the more people that are into the things we love, the more possible like friendships we can have and great conversations. And maybe we wouldn't get so fixated on the things we don't agree on. It's like, hey, person A is a Republican and person B is a Democrat, but guess what? They both like Twilight or something, you know? It's like,
they're both Team Jacob.
Yeah, that's fine. Or like person A is a conservative and person B is a liberal, but guess what? They're both huge Mega Man fans.
They're both from Hufflepuff.
Yeah, they took their Pottermore tests and they both drew Hufflepuff. They got sorted Hufflepuff. So, I don't know. I think being into things and having things that you love is super great, but
yeah,
there is like a dark side of it.
Yeah, there's something that I wanted to bring up, because there's also been cases where members of a fandom like bully the makers of it into quitting or into like changing, and
Star Wars fans.
There's two examples. Let's start with Star Wars, right?
Rose.
Yeah,
That's a good example.
So Star Wars The Last Jedi comes out. I remember seeing it in theaters and going, whoa, that was pretty cool. Like,
yeah, Ryan Johnson did a great job.
Ryan Johnson did a great job. And then leaving the theater and people going, that was the worst Star Wars movie ever made. Right? Like we got Rose, who's the worst character of all time. They completely ruined Luke's character. The throne room fight scene was terrible with Rey.
That whole like Finn and Rose going to that casino, they're having like a subplot about animal cruelty. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and there was all these different complaints where the movie wasn't perfect, but as we mentioned in the last episode, it took a risk and it like took Star Wars in a different direction. This is my opinion. It took Star Wars in a different direction than it was going to go generically, right? And what ended up happening, for anybody who doesn't know, I imagine a lot of people know, there was another Star Wars movie slated for release like 6 months to a year after The Last Jedi. And it was Solo, a Star Wars story. And Star Wars fans, right, in order to protest Ryan Johnson's The Last Jedi, said, we're not going to go see Solo. And Solo ended up tanking. It ended up flopping. It didn't make back the money that it was supposed to.
And it was a great movie.
Solo was so cool. It was so fun. And it was this strange experience where it's like, guys, like, more Star Wars is good Star Wars. Like, the fact that we live in this era where Star Wars is producing more than it ever had. It's like, not only have we had Solo, but we had Rogue One. We have these movies that fill in the gaps between the main entries of the trilogies. It's like back in the day, it's like Star Wars came out in the 70s and then it didn't come out again until the 2000s. And now we're in the 2010s and 20s where we're getting Star Wars content all the time, and you're going to throw a fit and not go see it? And now because of that, we don't get any more Han Solo. Like, we don't get what we wanted, Well,
it's like yeah, dude, it was wild because, Last Jedi came out and I don't know if they were upset with Rose. I think they were mainly upset with Rose's, like, romance with Finn or something.
Yeah, the two things that I saw the most, like, hubbub about was Rose was annoying and Rose wasn't an interesting character and she took away from the whatever. The thing that I saw the most anger about was Luke being a crotchety old dude instead of a hero Jedi master. They're like, Luke is a hero and he would come back and help and this and this and this.
Based on what?
Based on what?
Based on him rescuing Han in The Last Jedi? Or sorry, in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, or based on him redeeming Anakin, Darth Vader. It's like a director comes in, Ryan Johnson comes in and says, this is my interpretation of it, and this is how we're going to go. And you guys don't agree with it, which agree with it if you want or not, but now you're going to take it out on a different movie. It's like you guys just bullied Disney.
Well, so I read this somewhere around the time, I think it was when The Rise of Skywalker had come out. Kelly Marie Tran, the actress that played Rose, I heard she had to go to therapy because of people bullying her so bad.
It's
like
such
she
a
had to
bummer.
go, she had to seek professional mental help because she was so like pinned into a corner by Star Wars fans. And again, a lot of these people, you said it yourself, there were two eras. There was like a time where you were a Star Wars fan and you were an outcast and a geek, and then Star Wars became cool. It's like the people that got bullied the most are the ones that are bullying people.
Yeah.
Going back really quickly because it's relevant to Resident Evil. So we just got the Resident Evil 4 remake, right? And the actress that played Ada Wong in the video game, Resident Evil fans bullied her off the internet. She deleted her social media accounts because they didn't like her performance.
In the remake.
Yes. The actress that played Ada Wong in the Resident Evil 4 remake, I'm pretty sure she like deleted her Instagram and stuff because RE fans were just coming at her so hard.
It's like, excuse me for being a part of the best thing you could get as a Resident Evil fan.
It's like, how hard is it to say, you know what? I wasn't like super fond of that performance, but I like the game.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm not the biggest Rose fan. I am a Rose fan, by the way. But it's like most people could be like, well, you know, Rose didn't really work for me, but here's some cool things that it's like, what?
Yeah, that's where I land. Didn't really work for me, but I'm not like up in arms over her.
As people shouldn't. It's a movie.
Yeah. Also, and I think this is the crux of it. You being a fan of something doesn't entitle you to what you want or need or desire. You know what I mean? And I know someone could make the arguments like, well, it's my money that funds it. You know, it's like, I'm the one that's paying for the
Then
profit.
stop paying for it.
Yeah.
Someone else will.
Well, we're saying stop paying for it, which is exactly what people did to Solo, you know, which is what I'm trying to say. Don't do that. But it's like,
well, hold on.
Yeah.
There's a balancing point, right?
Sure.
It's like, if you want to boycott something, I support your right to do that. It just sucked because that Ryan Johnson didn't do Solo. Rose wasn't in Solo. Nothing The Last Jedi did was in Solo. Solo was a completely different thing. And you know what? If you don't want to support Star Wars anymore, that's fine.
Yeah.
Again, I support your right to do that. You vote with your wallet.
You're right.
However, don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, don't ruin it for the rest of us. Like, if I want to go see Star Wars, I'm going to go see Star Wars. Don't say that I'm a fake fan, or don't say that like I'm a casual or whatever. It's like, again, let me reiterate this. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a little kid, okay? And I've gone through numerous generations of Star Wars. I've watched all the movies countless times, the original 4, 5, and 6 countless times, the prequels countless times. I've watched the sequel trilogy. I've watched Rebels. I've watched both Clone Wars series, like the one on Cartoon Network that was like from the creators of Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
And then I saw the other one.
Oh, that one's so good.
I've played all the video games. I've read a bunch of the comics. I've read a bunch of the books, even the newer comics like Vader Down and stuff like that. I own tons of Star Wars comics. Don't tell me that I'm a fake fan because I thought Ryan Johnson did something cool with The Last Jedi. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry that I'm not part of your hip club, but let's not forget the fact that you were getting wedgies in 8th grade, just like everybody else. All right? God.
Yeah. The other one that I wanted to bring up was Terminator, which I'm a huge fan of Terminator. I have been since I was a little kid. That was one of those R-rated movies. We talked about movies a little while ago, and I'm just now remembering that was one of those R-rated movies that my dad showed me when maybe I was a little too young to see it. You know, he like snuck it when my mom wasn't looking. Terminator 2. Not all of the Terminator movies have been incredible, but anytime a new one comes out, I'm excited for it. And then Dark Fate comes out, which I think is so freaking good.
Yeah, we both went and saw Dark Fate in theaters together,
so
I think.
I don't know if it was together, but we did go see it. It
Yeah.
was so cool. But there was one plot point that people wanted to moan about. And for that reason,
I think you can talk about it now. We're like, you could spoil it if you wanted to.
Sure.
It's John Connor.
Yeah. So there was one plot point where John Connor is killed by a Terminator. I won't go into details about it. If you need to know more, go watch it. But that was a plot point that people got really upset about. And for that reason, wrote off the entire movie, even though the entire movie as a whole was so good. And now we don't get Terminator movies anymore. Yeah. Until they reboot it, which they will. They always do. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, like Terminator, people have just written it off at this point. Because I remember going and seeing Genesis. And I was like one of the only people at the time that thought Genesis was fun. I was like, oh, that was good. You know, we had like a John Connor nanomite Terminator. I was like, this is sick. And then I went and saw Dark Fate and I liked it a lot. I was like, oh, it's super funny and it's dark and it's like really good. It's like, it was such a great Terminator movie and everyone hated on it.
Yeah. If you haven't liked the Terminator movies leading up to Dark Fate, it's like a return to form. That like really,
it's like a Judgment Day sequel. I'm not giving it that much clout, but you do have Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor, Edward Furlong technically comes back as John Connor.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you got Arnold back, and he's great in it.
Yep.
It's just like, and the new characters are great as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the reality is like people get so hung up on the fact that Terminator 2 was so good that like, oh, nothing can compare. It's like, does it need to?
Yeah.
Does it need to?
Can't we just get more of what we like and just like it? You know? And let's check ourselves. No, we probably don't. I mean, we just had an episode about how the MCU is kind of falling off, you know, but we're also reminiscing and we're liking what we like. And, you know, maybe we won't go see some of the new stuff, but we can still be fans of the old stuff. But never am I ever going to go, oh, you like the new MCU? You're not a real fan of the MCU. The old stuff was the best.
No.
Never gonna do that.
Because that in itself is a fandom. And I think for the most part, I think MCU fans are pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't run into a bunch of toxic ones. Yeah, it's like if people want to continue, like your brother.
Yeah.
Your brother is like, you know, you talked about your brothers that are on the spectrum. One of them loves to go to the movies by himself and go see the new Marvel movies.
Yeah, he's going to see every
and
single
those
thing.
make him happy.
Those are yeah, a source of joy for him.
And who are we or anyone else to stomp on that?
Totally.
It makes him happy. It makes a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
And it's like if we're deciding to walk away from something, and to be fair, if Terminator was getting 5 movies a year, I'd probably make the same complaints.
Yeah.
But no, it's like if I choose not to support something, it's certainly not going to be because everyone else is into it and it's too hip for me, or because I don't know. It's just like if something's dwindling in my heart, that's my problem. That doesn't need to be everyone else's problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, we want to bring it back to like the things that you like. That's all. That's what this whole podcast is about, is that we like things. And I know earlier I talked smack about some gung-ho sports fans. You know, if being a super fan of your favorite sports team makes you happy, then go for it. But if you're lighting a car on fire, you're a jerk. Yeah, or if you're punching your TV over the Seahawks game, you got to take it down a notch, man. You really do. Like, and it goes back to what we've said a couple of times, making something your entire identity. You know, I think, and I'm cut from a cloth where I physically can't do that, but I do think it's dangerous, you know, and maybe it's a form of we'll go into the anatomy a little bit of it. Maybe it is one of those addictive personality type things, you know, like if it's not cigarettes or alcohol, maybe it's the New York Giants, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like maybe our fandoms are a reflection of parts of our addictive personalities where we have to consume so much of it in order to keep ourselves level, you know? And I think that's probably where it gets a little dangerous, right? If the absence of it or it coming out the way that you don't want affects your happiness, you got to find a way to reel it in.
Yeah, I also think it has a lot to do with how we want to portray ourselves to one another.
Yeah.
Because there's correlations between things, right? Like when I was really young, I used to work at Pizza Hut, and there was this kid that worked there, and he bought like a replica necklace of the necklace Vin Diesel wore in the movie Triple X.
Okay.
And he would always wear Affliction t-shirts, and he would brag about his Vin Diesel necklace.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. Even though I thought it was super lame, I wasn't going to stomp on his dreams. But it's like, he was clearly portraying himself as a tough guy.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're a sports fan, if you're a hunter, whatever, you know, you're a tough guy. If you're, you know, it's like you're a tough guy. I get it.
I do think the things that we attach ourselves to as far as fandoms are a little bit of a projection of who maybe we wish we were, you know? Like, I love going to play basketball and I like watching basketball, and maybe somewhere deep within me, that's a projection of me wishing I was a top level athlete, right? Maybe I really love James Bond because I project that I wish I was this suave, debonair, super spy, cool guy, beat him up. You know what I mean? Like, I think in certain cases, right? Or maybe like my fandom, my love of Harry Potter at a certain point was a projection of me wishing I could live in a world where magic was real. You know what I mean? Like I think to a certain extent, sometimes our fandoms are an inward reflection of who we wish we were. And that's why we hold them so dearly, because when my favorite sports team takes a shot, it's a shot at the projection of myself, right? It's a shot at who I wish I was.
Yeah,
right?
you're winning too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Not just when they win, I win. When they lose, I lose, right? Because that's who I think I am, or who I wish I was, or who I'm projecting is my inner self. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being called on your projection, right? Like being challenged on who you think you are or who you see yourself at. The perfect example is Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if you ever, no, not Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares. Did you ever watch that show with Gordon Ramsay?
Mm-mm.
So Gordon Ramsay would go into this restaurant.
Where he like picks it apart, basically.
Exactly. So he'd go into this restaurant, right? He'd order some food. The food was terrible. And then he'd go into the kitchen and find all of this nasty, like health hazards and stuff. And 9 times out of 10 episodes, there was the kitchen owner, right? A lot of times it was an Italian guy. And he'd be like, "What do you know about kitchens?" And it's like, dude, I'm Gordon Ramsay. I know everything about kitchens. And your kitchen is awful. Your food sucks. It's badly managed. It's disgusting. And these kitchen owners have this mental image of they have projected that they have the perfect restaurant and that they're a restaurateur and that you know what I mean? They have this like built up image of their world. And when someone comes and chips holes in it and tears it down, they go ballistic, right? And they end up telling Gordon Ramsay he knows nothing about kitchens and food. Like that's
totally,
it's delusional.
And totally missing out on an opportunity to get better.
Exactly, because their self-image is being challenged. And maybe that's one of the reasons people who belong to these like deep-rooted fandoms are so defensive. Because when a Star Wars movie comes out that isn't that great, right? Or when the Dallas Cowboys, fail to make the Super Bowl again, it's a challenge of their own self-image. It's someone or something poking a hole in, you're not really that good. Magic isn't real. You're not a high-level athlete. They're poking holes in a person's self-image.
And people need to like remember that there is, I sound like my dad, but it's like if you were a huge James Bond fan, which you are,
yeah,
I'd be like, dude, that's sick. Let's watch some Bond films. I want to know all about it. But like if you were wearing a tuxedo every day and like I'd be like, "Hey Alek, do you want to go on a hike?" And we go on a hike and you're wearing a James Bond tuxedo.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "What's really going on?"
Or if I was
here?
like, "Hey, let's get in the lift." And you're like, "You mean elevator?"
But I'd be like, "What's really going on here? Why are you wearing a tux every day or whatever?" It's a little weird. And it's like to this point it's become an obsession. And we need to remember when it comes to our identities, we need to remember that there's reality we need to tend to also.
Yeah.
And part of reality is coexisting with other humans. And part of reality is not rocking the boat that we call society to a point where we're making other people feel like crap about themselves or whatever. Another thing that ties into fandoms that this is correlated to is people that just choose to live their lives being a contrarian.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. It's like you have an opposing view always because you like being the person that's different.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that. I have a really good friend who I'm not going to name. If you're listening, you know who you are, and I love you very much. I am so thankful to be your friend. But like sometimes he likes to be the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like we would be like, "Oh, we're huge Terminator fans." And he's like, "Terminator 2 is the worst movie ever made." And I'm like, "Really?
Really?
You think so?" And again, this person, I love you, but you're whack for thinking that, okay? But I'm going to let you think that. That's your opinion, although I don't know if it's really your opinion. But people like to be contrarians. Contrarianism is huge. It's like, if I believe the opposite, I'm the opposite. And if I'm the opposite, I'm unique. And if I'm unique, I'm not like everybody else. And if I'm not like everybody else, I'm an individual. It's like, knock it off. You can be an individual and you can still comfortably coexist and have relationships. Stop trying so hard to be different. Stop trying so hard to disagree. Some things are popular for a reason. And the reason things are popular sometimes is because they're freaking awesome. That's all I have to say about that. I get myself worked up because I'm just so angry about it.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It's like, hey, you ever wonder why some pop music is so popular? It's not because we're a brain dead society. It's because those artists are freaking good.
They're good. Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you can write off pop music all you want, but Ariana Grande is a generational talent.
Come on. Yeah, dude. Pop music is for mindless drones. It's like, is it though?
It's like, have you listened to the Dangerous Woman album? Come on.
Yeah. God.
That might be a deep cut. Anybody who knows.
It's just...
You also get an insight into my life.
People stop trying so hard to disagree for the sake of being different. Again, things are popular and well-loved for a reason. There's a reason that things are big. There's a reason that everyone liked Game of Thrones. There's a reason Harry Potter was so big. There's the reason that regardless of if you think Episode 7 is a remake of Episode 4 of Star Wars, that movie still made over $1 billion. There's a freaking reason, okay?
Yeah.
The reason isn't that we're tricked. The reason isn't that we're mindless drones. The reason is that it's cool, okay? It's cool. And if you genuinely don't think so, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If your stance is genuine and you're respectful, that's awesome. But like, contrarian mindsets drive me mad. And I work so hard not to call those people out because they're so blatantly obvious. It's like, can you at least mask it a little bit?
Yeah.
It'll be like, hey, have you heard that new Taylor Swift song or that new Taylor Swift album? Taylor Swift is just awful. Why is she awful? Because she sucks. It's like, you're dumb. Stop it.
It's that trust fund baby in class to play devil's advocate.
Well, I remember this
okay,
one.
Todd.
Dude. Todd. All right, Toddy. I remember this one time. Well, this is when Chester Bennington passed away.
Yeah.
And I love Linkin Park. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Linkin Park fan.
Yeah.
And the thing is where I was working, there was this like elitist metalhead that worked there. And I was having a talk with one of my friends outside the building, and that kid was standing over there. And I was like, dude, Chester Bennington took his own life, dude. And this guy goes, oh, I mean, his music sucked anyway. And I'm telling you right now, it took every ounce of self-control I had to not stand up on a picnic table and freaking drop kick that kid in the face.
It's from the top rope. Pile driver.
Yeah. Let me just give you the people's elbow, dude. Not only
did you take a moment to like Linkin Park.
Well, you disrespected a person that was depressed and took their own life.
Yeah, it's multiple levels. It's like, okay, if you don't like Linkin Park, I get it, but we're talking about a man's life at this point. Like, show a little bit of like reserve and remorse and just class act that one.
Like, if someone had said to me, hey, Dylan, I'm not the biggest fan of their music, but that's really sad.
Yeah, that's the perfect. Yeah.
Right. But this guy goes, oh, their music sucked anyway. It's like, cool, man. Cool.
Yeah, that's why you're eating lunch alone.
Yeah. Have fun wearing your freaking denim vest.
Was he wearing a denim vest?
Yes. He was wearing a denim vest. He had a Slayer patch on it. It's like, sorry that they're not Slayer, dude.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like, God, man, like, you're really going to disrespect someone that felt they had to take that step because life was too tough.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Like, how brain dead. You want to talk about brainless drones, dude? God, I was so offended. And it wasn't the fact that he dissed Linkin Park. He dissed someone that had mental illness. And I think that's so uncalled for.
Yeah, that's
like
a big bummer.
But that's what I mean. I don't even think he felt that way. I think he was like trying to project himself as being different, edgy, and he thought that people were going to giggle. To his surprise, everyone around him thought he was a jackass.
Yeah. And
big surprise, dude.
Yeah.
You know? That's the end of my rant. From just me checking out positives of fandoms, community, friendship, finding ways to connect, building that bridge. Downsides to fandom, people that let it become their whole identity. They're contrarians. They're projecting something they want to be. If you want to be a professional basketball player, I don't know, do what Alek does. If you're not making it, just go to the basketball court and just pretend like you're in a freaking NBA game. That's so cool. But like, don't drag down the NBA and its players because they're not meeting your expectations of what a good basketball player is, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine if your baseline was good and that everything entertainment-wise was just adding on to it.
That's how I think I exist.
Yeah.
I that might be a bold statement, but I think, I'm pretty proficient at like maintaining a happy baseline in my life. And every other thing that I get to do, the music that I listen to, the exercise and the sports that I get to go play,
It's all good.
the movies and all that kind of stuff is supplementary. It just adds on.
That's the way to live.
Yeah.
And if your baseline isn't good, figure it out.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, let me tell you this. We talked a little bit about Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. 2018. It was a $10 million movie. So Halloween Kills comes out and I liked it enough. It was fun. I think you definitely liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
So David Gordon Green is going to have this big epic finale of the third movie. Again, Halloween 1978 is literally my favorite movie ever made. It's not my identity. It's just my favorite movie. And I'm like, you know what? He's doing a good job with this trilogy. It's all coming to this. Halloween ends. Let's go. I go to the premiere. The movie sucked. And I was like sitting in the theater and I'm like, damn, that hurt. But you know what? I was fine. It was okay.
Is that something that you think you've learned how to do? Do you think maybe even 5 or 10 years ago it really would have destroyed you? Halloween ends being so terrible?
I don't know, man. It's like it's not David Gordon Green's responsibility to make me happy.
There you go.
It's David Gordon Green's responsibility to make the best movie he can make. And you know what? If he made a mistake or a misstep, I'm sure he's aware of it.
Yeah.
The reality is that it's our responsibility in our lives to make sure our baseline is healthy, and anything that we consume outside of that baseline, like, it's just extra.
Yeah.
If you consume negative stuff, your baseline's gonna suffer.
Yeah.
But if you consume the things you love and you have a healthy baseline, everything's just great from there, right? So
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Man, this weirdly felt like a venting session.
A couple of them have been that way, but I kind of like it.
Do you?
Some high emotions, feeling pretty passionate about certain things. It's a lot of fun, I think.
But at the end of it, we're okay.
Yeah.
Because we're not toxic fans.
Yeah, I don't want to be, and so I have to make sure, I don't think I have to make sure that if I ever start to feel too strongly about something, I got to check myself, I got to make sure that, right? Like, I will say, like, as a personal example, right? I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan, and they were doing incredible halfway through the season. And then they made some trades that I wasn't super into, and they end up missing the playoffs, even though they were a shoo-in to make it halfway through the season. And that hurt my feelings a lot. Seeing the Dallas Mavericks miss the playoffs this NBA season hurt my feelings. But I had to go, you know what? I still get to go play ball. I still get to watch basketball. I get to watch the rest of the playoffs, even though they're not included. I'm not going to, jump online and ream the front office for their trade decisions. I'm not gonna, harass players for not winning games. It's,
Because guess what? I'm sure they also really wanted to go to the playoffs. They probably did their best.
They're probably really upset about it as much as I am. But yeah, I mean, there are going to be a ton of moments where I go, oh, I want this to make me mad, right? Or this is starting to make me mad, and I have to pull back and go, it's not really worth that. There's so many other things going on in my life that are pretty good, and I can just focus on those things in the meantime. The NBA season will start up again. I'll get to re-add the Mavericks back in at that point, but for the next few months, I can just be stoked about the other stuff going on in my life. So if you find yourself in that position, right, not to make this like a suggestion session or I'm not trying to give life advice to anybody who might be listening, but if you find yourself pulling into an unhappy place because of the things that you consume, just do a little self-inventory, pull back and go, hey, there's other things I can like in the meantime, and I'll come back to that later before it makes me upset. It's not worth getting upset over these things. It's not worth tear gassing people over, either metaphorically or physically, right? So,
Metaphysically.
Don't metaphorically tear gas the people around you because the next episode of whatever you're watching wasn't that good.
Unless it's the podcast. Then it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Because football is 80% mental and 40% physical.
Yeah, to the listeners, if however many we have, what are some of your favorite fandoms? What are the things that you grew up loving? What are the things that you've drifted away from just because your interest has changed, or like we've talked about, you found some toxicity there? What is your take on fandoms, right? Sports, nerdy things, non-nerdy things. Want to hear more back from you, because there's a lot of things that we could have mentioned that we didn't mention in our own lives, and there's a lot of other fandoms out there that we've never even thought of belonging to. So tell us what your experience has been. I'd be interested to find out more about it.
And one last point from me as well. Just because a fandom is toxic does not mean that the content is toxic for you, and you can be a healthy fan amongst a toxic fandom.
Totally.
You can walk away. Those Resident Evil forums that I used to be on, I left them. I'm not on those anymore. I don't go on there and post my opinions. I don't go on there and post questions. I just play the games when they come out. I consume the media, and I have a select few friends that also love Resident Evil, and I talk about it with them. It's the same thing with Star Wars. I'm not in any Star Wars groups anymore because I can't take it. So you can still be a fan of something. You can walk away from toxic communities and still love the content that's being provided to you and still be a fan. Don't mix up the fan base with the content, because the content might still be something you love, but the fan base is something you want nothing to do with. And you can totally do that.
And from my perspective, if you play basketball at a gym where dudes make fun of your favorite team, or if there is one of those guys in that gym that thinks he'll make the NBA one day and he's throwing elbows and being really aggressive, you can go find a new gym to play in. Don't give up on playing. Just go find a new spot to play at.
Sounds like Alek's got a little venting to do of his own.
No. I'm in that spot where I found a really dope group of guys to play with, and we don't have anybody like that, It's nice. And anytime anybody has come to play, we take it somewhere else,
It's the message behind the podcast. Just take it somewhere else.
Take it.
If someone comes into your bubble and they got something bad to bring, just look them dead in the face and say, "Hey, take it somewhere else."
Take it somewhere else. Hit the road.
Yeah. Take it somewhere else. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
No, that was a fun one. A little loosey-goosey. I like the way that one turned out. We'll see how everybody likes it.
Yeah. Let us know. Do you think these should be more structured? Do you like the free-flowing conversation? Hit us up. Dylan Hamar, A. Jetzel on Instagram. But we appreciate you listening to the Very Refreshing Podcast. This was episode 10. We only have 2 to go
in this first season.
Yep. and maybe ever.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you guys like it, the way that we said, vote with your dollar, right? Vote with your listen.
Yeah, you don't have to pay us. We don't have a Patreon.
Yeah. We don't have anything like that. But if you like it and you have a buddy that you think would like it, share it, send it around. You know, if you want to see more than 12 episodes, that's all we have planned for right now. But if you want to see more than 12, share it, get people to listen to it. You know, that's what's going to make us want to come back and do more of them, is knowing that people are enjoying it, you know? So give it a listen, share it around. Let us know if you have any topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, because that's the other thing, you know, we'd love to give you guys what you're listening, what you like. So,
and you know what I think I'm going to do is, if we do move forward into another season of this, I'll make like a way for people to reach out to us, like via email or something like that. You know, I'll make like an email account just so people can message us.
Yeah, perfect.
We are currently, in terms of schedule, we are releasing this, the second week of the second month of this podcast running.
Okay.
So if you've stuck with us this whole time, we really appreciate it.
100%.
I know that a lot of podcasts do have sort of like a niche, and we're just kind of chatting and seeing where this goes.
The niche of this one is friendship.
Yeah. French dip. The niche of this is French dip. Yeah. So thank you so much for supporting us. Even if, I mean, we haven't even released this podcast yet. Did we talk about how we did this?
I don't know if we have, but we've basically, we've recorded almost every episode before releasing the first one. We've been bulking it so that we can see how we like it. You know, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, you'll have noticed that we've gotten better at it, because we did a bunch of them in a row. But yeah, we're going to release them over the next few months. If you're listening to this one, we've only got a couple of episodes left. So we'll probably end up taking a break so that we can listen through ourselves, get some feedback, and, you know, maybe we'll take a month or hiatus before we jump back into it if we get the right feedback from you. So if you do want to hear more, it's really all about the feedback at this point. We just need to hear from you. We need you to share it around. I think I would love to do more because I'm having a good time with it. But I also want to make sure that people are listening, you know, that's the point of it, right?
Yeah. You know, in life, you know, making content is always just the best thing, but
it's fun.
You know, we want to make sure that, you know, we're doing something that people like, right?
Yeah. And you know what? If it does end at the 12th episode, it'll be okay. I don't want it to. I want you guys to like it. But we kind of have a little bit of a video journal, or not a video, but an audio journal of just some stuff that, you know, if we never get past the 12th episode, I can listen to in a couple of years and remember how much fun we had, and, you know, some of these different episode topics. But I want to do more. I would like to. You know, who doesn't want their show to take off and have viewers and listeners? So, you know, we just need the feedback.
And if this does go well, you know, obviously our production would change drastically. You know, we'd probably implement video and things like that. We kind of threw around the idea of starting with video on this, but I'm editing these episodes, and it can be a lot of work, because it's not just dry audio that I'm uploading. Like, I'm actually mixing and mastering these, and it takes a while. So, you know, if this does go well, I'd really like to maybe even implement video at some point, have clips, things like that, you know, find more efficient ways for us to do this, maybe have a dedicated studio just for this. There's just so much we can do with it.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you taking this journey so far with us. And although it's almost over, it'll never really be over.
Yeah, we appreciate all the listeners. Hopefully you've been very refreshed, because it is, after all, the Very Refreshing Podcast.
See you next week. Same time, same place, same guys. See you later.
Thank you for checking out the Very Refreshing Podcast. Subscribe for more content just like this.